Hey folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Tito Santana.
This is Kurt Angle.
This is Bret the Hitman Hart, and this is going out to Scott and Holly.
You are listening to the
Win Twice Wrestling Podcast
With Scott and Holly.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
And this ho's for everybody. Ho!
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 27 of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast alongside your host Scott and Holly.
Hello.
Holly, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I am wonderful. I have a beer in my hand.
Yes.
Smiling.
Should we have a cheeky cheers?
Yeah, go on, let's have a cheeky cheers. There
Cheers.
you go.
Oh.
So, we had to do a bit of a shorter episode this week, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that, Holly?
Because I'm a busy bee.
You are a social butterfly, but at least with valid reasons.
It is my year of birth, my next year around the sun, Earth. I don't know what you say.
And what age does this put you at?
36.
Fucking hell, that's old, isn't it?
Stop
36.
it. Stop it.
God. Oh.
Yeah, any eligible bachelors out there? Come on.
Oh wait, I'm out of the
Help a
running,
girl.
am I?
You're not a bachelor.
I'm not
You're
eligible
married.
or a bachelor, so I fail at both those criteria. Yeah, that is
Help a
true.
girl out here, people.
Well, I don't know what to suggest to the people that are listening to this, but Holly's clearly looking for help on this matter, so birthday wishes would suffice. I still think cheeky Prosecco and Freddos. I'm sure there's a way to make this happen.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, I got given some today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah, strikes me like a Wayne thing to do. Good man. Always looking after the ladies. Yeah, so shorter show.
Yep.
You had no real idea of what exactly to do for because a short show to us, for the most part, is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Anything less than 3 hours to me is a short show.
Which, true, based on the track record of the ones we've covered so far. And I thought, because I danced around with the idea of doing it at some stage anyway, but it seemed like a good opportunity to do the first ever edition of Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
45 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know what to do with myself, I'll be honest.
I made shitloads of notes still. Somehow,
Good, I'm
some
glad
way.
you did.
So even though 45 minutes, because it's quick, one thing after the other, after the other,
Yes.
after the other, I've still managed to get like 10 plus pages of notes. Granted, I've cited some articles in there for story points.
Story time.
For story time with Scotty B. But yeah, it was a very strong change of pace, because even though we've just seen WrestleMania 9,
Yes.
which was, what, 3 months after this show?
Yeah, I'll be honest, at one point, this does confuse me. Because
Right.
something happens. I'm like, hang on. I just thought, this happened before.
Right.
Yes, my brain wasn't commuting.
All started to join the dots together in your
Slightly,
brain.
yeah.
But as is customary for the start of the show,
Yes.
the segment that you suggested ages ago, but always seems to catch you off guard all the same.
It does, because I'm never paying attention.
What, Holly, has caught your eye in the wrestling world, if anything, this week?
You know what? For today, last time, and probably the time after this, not a lot. Because all I've been doing is watching what we've been saying we're doing, and then losing track of my time outside of this.
So that's the end of that segment once again. No, fortunately,
I have seen stuff. I just don't like.
But if it's not memorable, then it's
I
not worth
It's
discussing.
usually also pictures, and I just keep scrolling. So
yeah, we know what those pictures are of as well. Jeff Hardy probably singing in his garden to a different song from the music being played.
yeah, I saw 2 of those this week.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, good. They're not coming through to me then. That's a treat.
I can like them on the pages Instagram if you like, so they keep coming through.
They're still coming through because we're following. What's it? The Jeff Hardy brand, or was that Matt Hardy brand?
I don't know. Anything.
But
everything.
Basically, if the guy is half attractive, there's a chance that the account is following them.
Okay. I can't.
Which tell me the female wrestlers that you followed.
There are definitely some on there. Are there not? Oh, I don't know.
I don't think there are.
do you not?
No,
oh, I
seriously.
follow them then on my private one.
Yeah, you do, just not on the account one. So I just get
dear.
beefy lads updates, which is
That's
I'm fine with.
a shame.
I'm indiscriminate when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I wouldn't mind seeing what Alexa Bliss is doing every now and then, and because I'm.
Well, so would I, but she's not doing anything right now.
What do you mean?
Well, she's not back, is she?
Well, no, but she can do stuff on Instagram, can't she?
I see what you want. I see.
Well, no,
I
sorry.
see.
I mean,
No, you want me to follow it so that you see it without having to go look for it, so
Holly.
you don't get in trouble for
Holly.
looking for it.
how could that not have been more obvious?
I'm so sorry.
The plea on my
so
face.
Sorry. Okay,
the
I will
tone-
try better.
Thank you.
I'll be a better friend.
The tone in my voice
So
should have
sorry.
given it away.
So sorry.
Oh dear, losing your memory in your old age, aren't you? Deliberately caught a
Wow.
half sip there for that.
Wow, thanks.
That's all right. I'm aging worse than you. You're fine. So things that caught my eye in wrestling, both were AEW related, actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, no. There was one thing I saw in WWE, so I'll tick that off first. It was a post, actually. I can't remember who I saw put it on Instagram, but it said, "Imagine in 2016 being told that these two people were going to be the feud for the WWE title,"
Yeah.
and had a picture of Stardust and Logan Paul as he was going through the Japanese suicide forest, which I believe was the same year that he did that.
Oh.
And people going, imagine thinking that that was going to be the WWE
That's
title
fine.
feud. And they're right. That is what's currently happening, that just amused me a bit. The other two things, one was, I believe, actually Ring of Honor, but still I'll put it under the AEW umbrella for the sake of this. But I'll leave that for the main point because I'm interested to see your take on it. I don't really think there's a take to be had, to be honest. But the first one was I saw that, I believe in a match with the EVP, so the Young Bucks, that Christopher Daniels has been quote-unquote fired after losing the match. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't think it's necessarily a retirement match for him or what. But that happened, so friend of the show, Christopher Daniels there, which we'll get to at another point in time.
Yeah.
That guy,
That
who Holly's very familiar with now.
Yep.
And the other thing was, I would have thought actually this would have permeated your radar.
You can't be using these long words with me at this time of day.
Sorry.
After a work day.
Drink your beer, you'll be fine. And that is with the fan that was rowdy in the front row of an AEW show.
Oh, yes, I have heard about this, actually, yes.
I think they had been mouthing off to Saraya
Okay.
in the AEW show, and Saraya had basically tried to put them in their place, and they carried on for the Ring of Honor thing that took place on the same day or evening, I assume it was. And Sky Blue, who was the recipient of this man's basically his misogynistic objectification, yada yada yada, to the point where it wasn't just a comment, it was another comment after another comment, to the point where even if someone was going to argue and say, oh, one comment, okay, but then the relentless barrage just is too much for anyone. And the fact that they were sat there with their kid throughout the entire time, so what did you
That's the bad part
make of
for
all
me,
this
I think.
stuff?
Yeah, I've heard about it, and I've said this before very early on in this. I think I'm a really bad feminist.
Okay.
But it's not that I don't care.
You don't have to be a feminist to be fair to have an opinion.
But this, I think for me, the point of this that hits hardest is the fact he's with his kid.
That's awful.
So what example are you leading? That's
Well, he
where I
kicks off.
take the main issue.
I can only assume he was inebriated because
Oh,
he was kicking
sure.
off as well when security tried to take him out.
Yeah, okay.
I
That's not a yeah, okay, I don't believe you. That's a yeah, okay, like, that's dumb.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like,
Oh,
no,
no,
I'm pretty
no,
sure
yeah.
that happened, yeah.
People are stupid.
I guess if you were going to be the devil's advocate on, like, someone making a passing comment, not excusing the relentless barrage, someone like specifically Saraya, when you go around, I'm not saying you're inviting it on,
I
because
know where this is
I'm
going.
walking a very thin line here, and I
Yeah,
appreciate that, and I'm hoping I'm articulating it in the right manner. I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm not. Is when you're going around pretty much with your norks out the whole time, I know you, like, where are you trying to draw people's attention to anyway?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a woman. Yes, you are a woman, and you can be proud of your body, whether it's bought or natural, whatever. But as a guy, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you're not looking at my eyes. Yeah, because they're not hanging out. Like, it's a difficult situation for a guy. I mean, obviously, this dickhead isn't a good example of man
But I
in general.
understand actually what you're saying.
but I don't think I'm articulating it well, and because I'm a guy trying to articulate it, it's
Yeah.
probably landing not quite as I'm intending.
I mean, for me, it makes perfect sense. But I know you, so I know what
Yeah,
I know
true, because
what you're meaning.
I'm not that way inclined. But I find it strange. Like, it's a dichotomy, isn't it? Because, like, I want to be viewed as this, but everything you're dressed is trying to lead into the primal instinct of a man
Oh, of course.
to get the attention, and it's tough. It is
Yeah.
tough out there, like, for both women and guys that aren't dickheads.
Yeah.
Because being a guy, you get tossed in with the rest of men who are,
Nice
that.
quotation marks.
Thank you again.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought again the
Yeah.
tone of my voice kind of
Yeah.
gave that away, but obviously there's no excusing what this dickhead did. Like you said, weirdly, even though it's like almost the least effective part of it is the fact that he was doing it in front of his kid, which
Yeah.
is the bit I can't. Because you're always going to get drunk
It
dickheads
would
doing
make
stupid
more
stuff.
sense if it was lads. Like,
Yeah,
with a group of lads, you're just a bit shit-faced and you're being a bit of a bellend.
yeah.
But to be there with your child,
Mm.
that I just find a bit weird. But people like this are dumb, so...
But then again, like I said, I could see a woman who's dressed like that, and
Yeah.
like I said, taking the fact married and all that stuff
Yeah,
out,
yeah, yeah.
and seeing someone attractive, you can go, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to go, oh, you know, like, it's
Even a
just
cheeky wolf whistle, don't mind that. I
cheeky
think
little
that's
wolf
fine.
whistle, okay.
But just the constant shouting is...
And like I said, I don't
I
actually
mean,
know.
I don't get that attention, so I don't really know, but I can't imagine it's very nice.
That's not true. I whistled the other day when you went past. I'll tell you what, you try and do something nice for people, it never gets recognised,
Stop
does it? But yeah, those were the things that
Okay.
caught my attention.
I will be better at this, but just give me the next 2 weeks grace.
That's
I
fine.
promise.
And to be honest, as long as one of us is picking up
Yeah.
stuff, it turns it into.
When we both sit here and go, no,
I think we must have.
we definitely
I
have.
feel like we had one of those
Yeah, we
around
did.
WrestleMania week where I was just like, I don't
No.
have anything that I can say on this, mainly because we were watching a long ass show.
Yep.
But swinging us back round to
Oh,
the
swinging.
topic du jour.
This early in the day.
Early in the day, when's the right time to swing?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd say swinging's definitely an evening, a nighttime occasion.
But are we
surely.
talking
on a
like-
weekend?
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
Saturday.
Because single as fuck, so I wouldn't know. But
Well, if any reason, then go for it. What are you talking about?
you
Get
don't have
involved.
to have a partner to be a swinger.
I don't know. I was
This
probably
is
an orgy at
so
that point.
off plan.
Just as long as I've got the pampas grass outside, which I've
Oh,
been
of
told
course.
is an indication.
That is. I actually have. I do actually have some in my window of my flat.
That is amazing. The flat that I've not been invited
No,
to yet.
not
Let's
yet.
put that out there.
It's not finished yet. I'm
Well-
waiting. I'm waiting for it to be 100%
Joel and Sam
ready.
have gone.
That was not planned. Let's continue
Okay.
moving on from this story, please. Thank
Oh
you.
no, I wasn't going to go down that line. You're
Thank
fine.
you.
Back to the topic du jour
Yes,
again. We
let's.
tried after talking about swinging. So, episode 27, I've mentioned. The date of the very first inaugural edition of Raw was the 11th of January 1993. The venue was the Grand Ballroom in the Manhattan Center in New York City.
Yes.
Well, New York. Okay. It's important before, because I dive straight into an article here, which
Oh,
I'll go
okay.
into in a sec. But I just wanted to get, and I think I ask it later, so I'll bypass it when I do actually come across that particular note. You've seen the modern era Raw.
Yes.
You've seen Attitude Era Raw. We covered
Yes.
one in the show. You've seen probably Ruthless Aggression, where John Cena started to come
Course I
into
have, yeah.
the forefront. So you've kind of experienced all those iterations of Raw.
Yes.
My guess would be that you've never seen a Raw this far
Oh.
back, let alone the first one.
What could possibly make you think that?
I don't know, familiar with your work,
Yes.
your
you're
track
correct.
record, as it were. What were your expectations? I know you said you don't like having expectations.
Yeah.
But what you must have had something in your mind of a look or a feel or
Thought
something.
it was going to look very much like a house show. Similar look to actually was it ECW we watched?
Or WCW?
WCW? I don't know
Beach
which one.
Blast?
Yeah, kind of similar vibes like that, like a smaller enclosed space
ECW would do that, actually. Yeah, you're probably talking about that.
and just a bit of a spotlight, effectively, on the ring.
Couldn't have been more wrong then.
Pretty much.
I mean, it was a smaller
It
venue.
was a smaller venue, but it was very bright.
Well lit,
Yes.
as I think is this era of WWE.
In my head as well, kind of like similar to Progress style. Like more people than that, but a darker, dingy sort of
I think
like
that's more of an independent vibe.
dive vibe. Dive bar vibe.
Well, I think, funnily enough, with the way that the idea behind Raw in general was
Yeah.
it was supposed to be seen as a bit gritty for the
Okay.
era. When you think of the sanitised product that
Mhm.
was put out there up to this point from both WCW and the WWF.
Yeah.
And this is what that ended up looking like.
Yeah.
which is wide of the mark, but then again, we're probably also attributing it to modern standards for what we'd consider to be dark and grimy and gritty.
For sure.
So I've got an article here, and what I've decided to do is whenever I find an article that's worthwhile, because I sometimes take little bits and pieces from various sources, if I'm reading a good chunk of it, I'll obviously cite the source where I can actually find it.
Means you won't be drawn over hot coals for something that you didn't write.
Well, plagiarism. Oh, no. I mean, I put it here because it was interesting.
Oh, for sure.
So this is an article by Andrew Kelly from Sportster. So I'm just going to go into that for you if you don't mind. As fans are told each and every week, WWE's marquee show Monday Night Raw is the longest running weekly episodic television show in history. That is some feat, but it just goes to show the long-lasting impact that Raw has had on both professional wrestling and pop culture in general. 2023, so that dates the article for you, marks the 30th year that Raw... No. Oh, God, it is 30th, isn't it? Wow. Sorry, that's not what it says in the article. That's just me actually thinking about how time passes. That Raw has been on TV screens, with the show starting all the way back in 1993. There'll be some who are unaware of how Raw came to be and how WWE made history by birthing what would become a staple of television for decades to come, and likely for many more decades too. Before Monday Night Raw started, professional wrestling hadn't ever seen anything like it. Taped house shows and compilations were the norm for wrestling, even for WWE, which aired most of its content on primetime wrestling, often hosted by WWE personalities like Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. Storylines were advanced, match replays were shown, and by the time the early 90s rolled around, fans were losing interest in how professional wrestling was presented, especially when compared to live sports, amongst other things. So even though... diverging off the article, even though we're well aware it's not a sport, they're still athletic, but they're because they're in between two posts, they're not directly competing with either side of the fence. So the one that they try and compete with more naturally, because of the athleticism, is sports.
Yes.
And you have to think about, and take it now, like we've got Talking Smack and the panel shows they do. That's like pre-game Sunday for NFL and, NBA kind of talk shows as well. They're all catered towards the sports demographic. So they're not wrong. They are trying to compete with that here. Vince McMahon and WWE needed to develop something new and fresh, but also something that cut the rising costs of production, and Monday Night Raw was the answer, though it didn't exactly turn out as planned. On the Something to Wrestle podcast, Bruce Pritchard delved into the discussion behind... So Bruce Pritchard, if you remember, is Brother Love. But agent behind the scenes, and we saw him come out when Cody won the title as well. Delved into the discussion behind the start of the show and why the change from primetime wrestling was needed. So this is a quote. It just really didn't click. We were looking for different things, obviously. I had nothing to do with it beforehand. But once I got there, everybody's like, what do you think of this? And it just wasn't good. It was a compilation show with a compilation panel. There was no consistency to the show at all, other than I think Vince and Bobby. We were looking for ways to save money. We were looking for a different presentation of the show, which is where the germ of Raw came from. Don't worry, I'm nearly done. This just goes to show that the brainchild of Raw wasn't an instant one. The idea was to perhaps build or use a smaller studio and house a small crowd or a couple of hundred people to create a more intimate and hot atmosphere. Filming the show live and airing it as such, which was unprecedented aside from pay-per-view events. The idea was to also not do the show on the road to save costs, on the road to save costs. But in the end, that didn't happen because we know obviously they tour.
Because they travel around for pay-per-views, so you've got to do shows elsewhere.
You don't have to. The original idea was to keep it based in New York.
Okay.
Which they were there for a while, but then they did branch out obviously and go take it. Because like you said, if you have a home base and you can keep all your production gear in that vicinity, think about the amount of money you're saving from carting it from, let alone one city to another, one state to another, one country to another. So I get it. And this was the period in WWE where money was becoming a bit of an ongoing concern because of the legal battles that Vince McMahon had on the horizon for the steroid trial, etc. He also, going into, I think it was 94, 95, they were doing the lowest numbers business-wise that they had, and that was the point where they're like, we might not come out of this alive, basically. Well, as a company, that sounded more melodramatic than I meant. So WWE decided instead to film Raw from the Grand Ballroom at the Manhattan Center, and with several floors to take the ring up and down, this proved not really to be cost effective, and it didn't save them money. WWE would go against their idea of live weekly shows, instead taping a bunch at once. However, the presentation of the show, the unique feel and location all added into the importance and draw of Raw, and it brought in a lot of viewers when it began on January the 11th, 93, taking the USA Network spot from Primetime Wrestling. So that's the extent of it carried on, but that was the bit that I was talking about for the first ever show. So what they originally wanted to do, like I said, save money, and they found out because the way that the Manhattan Center is laid out, it's not just the one room itself there's other venue arenas attached to it, and they still had to carry the gear up and down, so the labour costs, etc. As far as I'm aware, for a period of time, when they were doing Raw, they were doing one live and they were filming the other one right after it to be recorded, so every other week they were going live, which is how when WCW really started to become a force to be reckoned with and started beating WWE in the ratings, they were doing stuff like announcing things that were happening on WWE's show, like, oh, Mick Foley's going to win the WWF title. Yeah, that'll put butts in seats. Because it had already happened and been recorded. Cheeky. Ironically, that particular... Yeah, it's dirty. It's a dirty tactic. But that particular one caused people to switch the channel and actually go and watch Mick Foley win the title. So that one bit them in the arse. But as a general rule, those were the kind of ploys that they were pulling. So that's how Raw came to be. They wanted to freshen things up.
Yep.
This was also the time in WWE where it was becoming the new generation. So the golden era, which is like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, was what that era is known as, was effectively dead.
Okay.
They were looking to usher in the new generation. Ironically, with the new generation, at the time they were pushing certain people like Rowdy Roddy Piper, who was very much part of the... Sorry, I punched the microphone there, I've done to you. Part of the golden generation and the golden era that came before it. But either way, the idea was there.
Okay.
So I've asked you about your expectations already, so that was the first point. Tick that off, Scott. We've done that.
Absolutely.
We start with a foggy winter's night in New York as the camera is trained on the Empire State Building. So thick is the fog at this time that we can't even see the top of the building, which is quite an awesome sight, actually.
Yeah.
Sean Mooney welcomes us to New York. Live and chilly, although tells us things will shortly be hotting up. He lets us know that moments ago it was a mob scene out here as fans were braving the elephants, as he called it, and this is when we see Bobby Heenan casually stroll by. If this doesn't... I know it hasn't, but if this doesn't make you love Bobby Heenan, I don't know. You might be a lost cause on it.
Well...
Bobby is told that he can't go in there as he has been replaced on commentary by Rob Bartlett. We'll get to him later. Heenan is outraged at the idea and does a good job of selling how important the show is, because he's adamant that he needs to get in there. So it feels like it's got to be, to quote Gorilla, a happening, and he needs to be involved in it.
Yep.
I know. I can tell by the tone in your voice you're not pleased with Mr. Heenan. So Heenan says that he can buy a ticket, and Mooney informs him that there are no tickets available, and the Brain continues his tirade as we cut to the opening montage for the debut edition of Raw. Again, very early 90s vibes with the choice of saxophone music and drum underlay as we see images of Razor Ramon, Undertaker and Bret Hart, to name but a few.
To me, it looks like the start of a talk show.
Yeah.
Really big talk show vibes.
But then, knowing Holly, the siren that opens the show as a hoarse Vince McMahon welcomes us to the event will have both angered and confused her in equal measure. Am I right?
The fire alarm that's going on in the background is really fucking annoying. Is the note that I said. It's too loud.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
You know me fucking.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, this is...
It's so loud.
Woo, 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 woo.
It's almost as annoying as a fucking whistle.
Well, unfortunately, we don't see him on this show. This venue looks more befitting the likes of ECW, with how intimate it is, and that, Holly, is because ECW used to use one of the other rooms at the venue for their shows, the Hammerstein Ballroom, which is just off it.
Okay. Makes sense.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm going to give you a bit of background here on Mr. Rob Bartlett.
Oh, okay.
So this is from slamwrestling.net, and the author is Blaine Vandergrind. Love that name. I'm not even sure if it is Vandergrind. I feel like that might have typoed, and I don't think it was Grind, but that's what I've put down here, and I'm not going to check it again, so that's what we're going to have to work with. So when Bartlett joined the company, he had a background in improv comedy and had no prior knowledge of pro wrestling, but his son Sean was a huge wrestling fan, so it was not an opportunity that he could pass up. To get there, Bartlett found himself in the right place at the right time. This is a direct quote from him. I was doing a charity event for the Connecticut Special Olympics, and Vince McMahon just happened to be in attendance wearing this really peach-coloured suit, Bartlett said.
Okay.
So I made a couple of cracks about him and just started riffing on the suit, and everybody in attendance, including Vince himself, started laughing. So this is how our relationship kind of started, and he invited me to come and announce this new live television show he was doing, Monday Night Raw. So basically Vince was getting roasted, and he went, I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's funny, he's quick.
Yeah.
Let's get him to do a wrestling show. When was that ever failed?
Why not, eh?
Bartlett joined Vince McMahon and Randy Savage for commentary during the first few months of Raw. It wasn't a role that Bartlett was particularly familiar with, but McMahon had every confidence in him.
So sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
So just firstly, we know from last WrestleMania how happy I was that Savage was on commentary, and I know you don't like that. I know you roll your eyes at me, but I liked it. Does he do more than one Raw then?
He does.
Does he?
He does like 3 months.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
Well, you're going to find a way to get us to watch a lot of early Raws, aren't you?
Yes,
yeah.
I am. Hey, if you've taken away Jesse, I've got to get someone else.
I gave
in.
you Jesse back last week.
You
I'll have you know,
did.
with that cameo.
Oh, makes my heart happy.
Where are we here? So, and like every other risk that the WWE chairman has taken over the last 19 years, he tried his best to make it work. Back to a quote. I was nervous going into the first show because I didn't really know what I was going to do, Bartlett said. Vince had basically given me free rein. Although Bartlett was only with the company for 13 weeks, he certainly made sure that none of that time was wasted, as he would always come up with creative ways to draw attention to himself. I'm not going to argue that point. Back to a quote. I remember I came out dressed as Elvis one week. Sorry, I just went to a very dark place remembering that episode. And the writers thought it was a good time to have Doink the Clown come out and hit me in the face with a pie, which kind of defeated the purpose of wearing the suit. And on another episode, I found myself in the middle of a cat fight between Sensational Sherry and Luna Vachon. And I basically got my own clothes torn off by the two of them, Bartlett said. There was one night in particular that really stood out to me. Vince couldn't do the show because he had to attend a charity event, so I went out and rented a tux and decided to dress up like Vince McMahon. And I had to really build myself up because Vince is a big guy. He's almost as big as the wrestlers. Oh, Vince would have loved hearing that. So I had the tux and I was wearing all these football shoulder pads underneath, and I basically did the whole show as Vince McMahon. All the writers and everyone thought it was hilarious because no one had ever made fun of Vince before. And looking at your face,
I really want to see that.
I'll make sure that we look at this episode.
That sounds hilarious.
Despite the fact that Bartlett's commentary was heavily criticised, he was still able to have a lot of fun and really enjoyed the people that he worked with, and it may have actually brought him closer to his son, so it's not something that he will ever look down on. Final quote. Randy was the best. He was also so generous and very kind. Vince is one of the single greatest marketing geniuses I've ever met. There are very few people in show business who are as good as that as he is, Bartlett said. It was always great to see all those guys backstage who had such loyalty to Vince. That quote hasn't aged great, I'm not going to lie, but it shows that he was happy
Fair
there.
enough.
He didn't think he got mistreated, or at least
For the 13 weeks that he was
there. For the 13 weeks
Yeah.
that he was there. And Bartlett was eventually replaced on commentary by Jerry Lawler.
Yes.
There you go. So that's the end of that article.
Okay.
So that, Holly, is how Rob Bartlett ended up announcing on Raw. Thoughts?
Well, obviously I had no clue who he was. Because this is me. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say I'll leave that alone because I don't think many people
Okay.
would like to forget who he was.
But you know what? I didn't hate him.
Well, of course not, because he said stupid shit like Randy Savage did.
Yes. But actually, my one gripe is he talked too much so that Randy didn't speak enough for me.
Randy didn't annoy me in this because he got lost in the weeds.
He wasn't allowed to chat too much.
He got lost in the weeds.
Yeah. So for me, that kind of made me a little bit sad.
I will say, there's one line that Rob Bartlett says in this show, which actually had me. I forgot he said it. I roared with laughter.
Okay, I know I've written a couple down, so I wonder if it's
a couple. I must have at least half a dozen.
Oh no, I've got a couple down, so we'll see.
Don't worry, I've got you covered. Your boy's got you covered. Macho is in a not disappointingly extravagant suit and hat, as we would expect nothing less.
So good. So good.
Holly, are we going to overlook the fact that he's wearing sunglasses inside at night in winter?
Yes. No, he's allowed. I'm sorry. He's
We're all
allowed.
sorry.
He's in the group of people that it's allowed.
Okay. Are we including Bret Hart in that?
Oh, he's the leader of that group.
Fine. I'll allow it then. That's mighty big of me again. Vince McMahon has a farcical red dicky bow, cementing the idea that none of the three men are aligned in their apparel for the evening.
Yeah, it's all very eclectic, isn't it?
Yeah, because Rob's got like a sports jacket and a Raw
Very
t-shirt
casual.
underneath. Smart cash.
Yeah, sure.
Vince has gone for...
Smart.
Yeah, and Savage
Randy's
has gone
just
for
fallen in some
cocaine.
sequins.
He's gone for cocaine. Let's make no bones about
But
this.
he'd look weird just dressed in like a t-shirt and a jacket.
Yeah, he would.
Just like a basic bitch, like...
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, no, you're not wrong though.
So, yeah.
So after all that,
Yeah.
we get into our match.
Yeah.
Coco Beware versus Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji.
Yes.
Before we go into it,
Okay.
just the idea of these two men, because I know you're familiar now with both these men. We saw
Yes,
Yoko at
Birdman,
WrestleMania
yes.
9. We know the Birdman.
But he's got no bird now.
He's
but,
Frankie-less.
Yeah. And he looks jacked here.
Yeah,
More so than before, which I understand.
yeah. I think also this sounds weird, but he's also in a smaller arena, so I feel like it just makes him
Okay.
look a bit bigger.
Yeah, could do. I mean, also look at his opponent.
Well,
So
Well-
you're gonna see the ripples of muscle on one guy and absolutely not the
and
other.
the raspberry ripples on the
Oh,
other.
stop.
Here he is, Holly. Have you missed him? Coco Beware, back on the Win Twice Wrestling podcast, baby. Full of high energy, here you could say, as he flaps his way to the ring, and I'm fully aware that joke will have sailed right over Holly's head.
Flaps his way.
Well, no, that wasn't the joke. The high energy. He was in a tag team with Owen Hart called High
Oh.
Energy, which is why I knew that it'd clear your head by about 4 foot. So
Yes.
straight away, we're on a Rob Bartlett comment. Bartlett refers to Coco as Gary Coleman. I'll leave that one alone.
Yep.
I mean, I get it though.
Let's move on.
Because stature-wise, and if you actually, to be fair, the haircut isn't the same, but if you shaved his hair down because he had the little thin tash as well, I could see it.
Okay.
I could see it. But that's how he opens.
Oh yeah. To
Rob
be fair.
Bartlett just walks into the room, puts his dick on the table and goes, any questions? This is how I'm going to be from now on. It's not the one that made me laugh.
Okay.
The one that made me laugh was it was glorious. 3 months before we see him win the WWF title, albeit briefly, at WrestleMania 9, and before he won the Royal Rumble, spoiler, but you'll forget, Yokozuna...
Oh my god! Shots fired. You're not wrong.
No, exactly, yeah. Yokozuna is presented with flowers by 2 Japanese women. Did you catch the neon WWF sign at the entryway? I know it was a bit difficult to see behind Yokozuna's
No.
frame, but it had like kind of neon lights that were going up and down it.
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, something to look back on if you can be bothered, which I don't think you will, I'll be honest. But
Probably not.
it was an interesting visual and
Maybe the
I
next one.
appreciated it. Yeah, that's true. What did you make of it? Nothing is the answer there.
Sorry.
Scott, we'll move. No, it's fine. No,
I'm
it's
not
fine.
very observant with these things, am I?
You're right, we're only supposed to be reviewing it. Why
I
would you be
know.
observant?
My note just said I can't imagine this is going to take long.
I'll be honest, with a 45-minute show, yeah.
Exactly.
That's basically, and to be fair,
Get to the ring, dance around a bit, out you go.
even in the older shows before Raw came into existence, a lot of the purpose of the TV shows, it was one squash match after another. You'd put an established
Okay.
star
Just to
against
get their face sort of out there a bit more.
a local jobber, make them look impressive, and then you'd have your stars go against each other at the big shows for pay-per-view.
Okay.
That was the general way it worked. So this is just kind of conforming to that
Which I
mentality.
suppose now they still do sometimes, because sometimes they have those people, you know, and it's like they announce
The
them and you're
local.
like, who are you?
Enhancement
And it
talent.
is just a local
Yeah.
against, to make someone look better.
Yeah,
really.
like they'd have
And
someone
the
come-
local will do it because obviously they're getting telly time. Why wouldn't you do it?
and it shows that they've said come out and done something for WWE, and you have people like James Ellsworth. That's how he started. He was a local jobber guy that turned
Yeah.
into a whole character there. So fair play to him. He got a brief career out of it. Where's your chin? Where's your chin? Okay, Vince reminds us that Yoko hasn't been knocked off his feet yet. Sorry, no, I'll read that like I've actually written a proper sentence, because I have. Vince reminds us that Yoko hasn't been knocked off his feast yet. Feast.
Are you okay?
No, it's been a long day, Holly.
I know.
It's been a very long
I
day.
know.
Vince reminds us that third time's a charm. Vince reminds us that Yoko hasn't been knocked off his feet yet. Thank you. And Rob tells us he hasn't seen his feet in months.
Yes, I do like that.
This next line,
Oh, I think it's the one I've written down.
oh, definitely is. That is one big-butted Oriental, Vince.
Oh no, it's definitely not what I wrote down.
And then Vince goes, in a manner of speaking, yes. Carries on. He has an ass like an amphitheatre.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Great gear on Yoko here. This was my favourite get-up of his. The white and red number.
Oh, okay, because I suppose I've seen it, the red and black.
Yeah, which is the one that you more frequently see him in.
I see.
But red and white was the one I liked.
I always think white wrestling gear is risky, I'll be honest.
To be fair, he didn't have that going down under his undercarriage, because that could have been...
No.
That could have been problems with the amount of turkey arse that man eats. Ceremonial salt, and there goes the bell. Okay, this phrase. Monday Night Raw is uncooked, uncut, and uncensored. Now here is a phrase that in an hour or so will really fuck a man off. The three commentators try to batter the slogan into the heads of the fans, no doubt under Vince's instruction, as every time he says the first part, they scramble to say their pieces of the marketing puzzle, and they get it right twice.
Yes.
And it's usually because, if I'm having shots, it's because Savage jumps the gun and does his bit before Rob Bartlett does. So Rob panics and says his bit, and then that time Savage says fuck all.
It's funny. I found it amusing.
Oh, I did, because I know how much it was annoying Vince.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I found it amusing. Coco gets a USA chant going as Yoko finishes his preparations, and we get that trademark undercarriage camera shot.
Yes.
Rob Bartlett asks if Yoko should be wearing a bra, and Vince says no. Collar and elbow tie-up sees Yoko send Coco fly... Yoko send Coco. That is what it says, though. Yoko send Coco flying into the... That sounds like a porn star to me. Yoko send Coco.
Oh, it's a good one.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. Anyone out there who wants to become a porn star, you are welcome.
Yoko
send Coco. Flying into the corner of a shovel. I know what this episode's going to be called. Second collar and elbow results in the same end position for the Birdman as Vince plugs the upcoming Royal Rumble. Coco is encouraged to hit the ropes by Yoko, but when he attempts a shoulder tackle, he simply bounces off the big man. Once more, he makes the same attempt, but as we know with the definition of insanity, it doesn't work. Dropkick attempt signals Vince's time to climb the octaves like a Westlife chorus. A second still only staggers Yokozuna, and on the third charge, Yoko sidesteps, causing Coco to guillotine himself off the top rope in a nasty fashion. It looked good.
Yeah, it did look good.
Running, and I use that term loosely, leg drop from Yoko has the crowd sound concerned for the Birdman. Whenever he drops a limb, the crowd go, oh! Yeah, it's really good.
You would though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course you would. Very delicate though. A light touch did the big man haveth. Coco, I need to not drink when I do these going forward.
Especially when it's Coco and Yoko.
Do you know what's funny? I had not realised, because I don't try and say it out loud. I'm just typing down what I see. Coco is tossed into the buckles and is pancaked under a backsplash. That doesn't sound good. A follow-up... No, yes. A follow-up right drops him, and the bonsai drop leads to the 1, 2, 3 for Yokozuna as he sits on the fallen Coco.
Yep.
I don't have Meltzer star ratings, because for the shows it's just, unless it's a big event, difficult to find unless I go into the archives of The Observer, and I don't give enough of a fuck to do that at the moment, if I'm honest. What did you score this match?
0.25.
I'll give it 0.5.
Okay. Cool.
Because they're all short, so they're not going to be like
That's why
classics.
I said, I was like, not much content, didn't expect there would be, wasn't too long, fine.
Nothing in there offended me. It built up Yoko exactly as it was supposed to.
Yep.
Coco was very serviceable in his role.
Yes.
Fine. No issue.
Job done.
We then get a promo for the Royal Rumble. Now, Holly did let me into a little secret before we started doing the recording. I think it was yesterday you mentioned it. You said, a lot of the stuff that happened between the matches, I didn't make notes because I couldn't have given less of a fuck.
Oh, God, sorry, I did say that. I do have a few notes.
Okay. No, I'm sure you do, but I haven't seen them. But I'm just relaying...
They're really fucking minimal, but I've got some.
Well, that's what we've become accustomed to, and that's why we love you, as you got called out the other day.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Where are my fans? Hang on a sec. Holly's getting all the love. I'm getting jealous, lonely over here. But
it's because I don't have enough love in my normal life, you see, whereas you're married, so people are giving me some extra.
Bet you'll have less sex than you do.
I don't know. That's not something we need to talk about.
Well, all right. Be like that.
On this platform.
There it is. There it is. I was going to say, you're holding out on me now. What's going on? We get the promo for the Royal Rumble. We now see a fast-paced promo package for the upcoming Royal Rumble, with one high-impact move after another. The camera shakes to signal seismic activity, and we're back on this one again, Holly. Mm-hmm. The clip finishes off by highlighting the WWF title match between champion Bret Hart and challenger Razor Ramon.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, on both fronts, I assume.
Throw some jelly on them.
There it is. We now go back to the ring, where we see Axl Rose in a swimsuit walking around with a sign that says Monday Night Raw. At the second attempt of shoehorning the slogan into the broadcast, they fail miserably as Savage completely misses his cue. What do you think about Axl Rose being on the first Raw?
It's so ridiculous.
It was a lady being a ring card
Yes.
girl. But just had Monday Night Raw.
For me, also, like a very concealed ring girl.
I'll be honest, my eyes didn't leave the hair.
Oh, it's massive.
It is...
But it's height for me rather than
It's
the depth. It's like ginormous.
It's height, width, it delivers on every possible scale measurement you could want.
It's like she was sat in the bath with a hairdryer before she came out.
After seeing this, I wanted to sit in the bath with a hairdryer.
Oh dear.
From here, we've got a Bobby Heenan promo. I'll tell you what, I don't think you're going to like this, but I thought it was a good promo, although there's one bit that irks me, and I do mention it.
Okay, cool. Right.
What do you think's the bit that irks me, actually, before I say it?
Oh, his shiny pink t-shirt underneath his
Okay, that is addressed, but
blazer?
that's not it.
Then I'm out.
The Brain is in a controversial pink low-cut sparkly woman's top that I'm pretty sure I've seen my mum wear, although I will admit she doesn't have the accompanying blazer.
Oh, my face hurts from laughing.
Heenan tells us that Mr. Perfect has been asking around as he's concerned that Narcissus is beyond perfect. Who's he?
Yeah.
It's alright, I'll mention him at the end.
Okay. Should I know who that is?
No,
because I
because
started
he
to
never
get
says his...
confused between him and Lex Luger. That's him?
That is him.
Oh, okay, because obviously I just saw him at WrestleMania and he was like the narcissist, wasn't he?
Yeah, originally they were debating using the name Narcissus for him, which is where the phrase narcissism came from.
Right.
It's like a Greek mythology.
I got very confused, so thank you for clearing that up.
No, that's fine, but I was going to say I mentioned it at the end anyway as to who it was, but because of the order in which we're seeing it as well, it wouldn't make sense to you.
Okay.
The Brain... No. Yes. The Brain tells us that comparing the two would be like comparing ice cream to horse manure. He tells us that there is only one Narcissus and he is anatomically perfect, and he and Ric Flair both agree on this. At the Royal Rumble, we will all see. Great way to... And also, that's one of the weirdest reveals, by the way, at the Royal Rumble. They bring out Lex Luger as Narcissus. I'm sure we'll do the 93 Rumble at some point.
And that's where he was introed?
Yeah,
for
formally.
his debut.
Because they showed him
we
to us...
saw the VT of him sitting around.
But that's when he was going to be coming into the WWF.
Yes.
Exactly, so they had to change plans when the WWF didn't work out.
Okay. Mm.
Great way to big up Luger, but I heard Narcissus so many times it started to sound comical to my ears. Because he's got a bit of a lisp, bless him. I love Bobby, don't get me wrong, but because Narcissus is not the word for someone with a lisp to say. Into match number 2.
Yes.
Flicker of emotion here, I imagine.
Yes.
From the excitement of the in-ring action that you're about to see, rather than a physical...
Yes.
Well, I don't know, you're always throwing jelly over that. And the Steiners versus the Executioners.
Yes. Right.
I knew there was going to be a question, that's why I didn't even pretend to start reading.
When they introduced... So obviously I know who the Steiners are.
Yep.
And they introduced this other team.
Yep.
But either I wasn't listening properly, which is usually the answer here.
There's a 50% chance.
But they were also on commentary as this other team were getting in the ring, talking about... Is it the Beverly Brothers?
Not them.
But
Beverly
were
Brothers
they
are a tag
talking
team.
about them, though? Because
They
I
mentioned-
was so confused. I was like, hang on, but these aren't these people.
No, I think they mentioned that the Steiners were having a match scheduled against the Beverly Brothers at Royal Rumble.
Really confused me, because I wrote down that name, and then I looked, and I was like, well, that's not fucking them. So...
No, the Beverly Brothers, did you look them up out of interest?
No.
Okay, they couldn't look more different. Because
Okay.
they've got longish blonde hair. I want to say it was purple and gold capes, I kind of remember them wearing. And just tights. They were managed by the Genius, so Randy Savage's brother.
Oh, okay.
And he used to do rhymes about them and refers to them as the Brothers Beverly. Which is because he had a weird cadence in the way he spoke.
Okay.
as opposed to fucking Randy Savage, who just talks like everyone normal day John down the street, doesn't he?
Ooh, yeah!
There you go, that's what you're getting from me, because I don't think I've quoted him in this.
It's because he's not allowed to talk.
He doesn't really say anything of note, does he?
He's not allowed.
I know why he's here. Fantastic.
Okay. So we know that Holly is a fan of the Steiners.
Yes.
And that they are exceptions to the no singlet rule.
Yes.
I assume you are happy to see them on the show?
Yes.
Thanks for the feedback. Now, before you ask, to be fair, it's a yes or no question, wasn't it?
Gosh. You're mean today.
I am horrible drunk. Now, before you I'm not drunk, just to be clear. Now, before you ask me about the executioners, the answer is two jobbers under hoods.
Yeah.
The executioner is a standard wrestling name when you just want to hide the identity of the individual to have them lose a match quickly.
Yep. Did actually know that, aren't you impressed?
Yeah, I think I might mention it before, but either way, all credit is for retaining.
I'm taking the credit for, like you say, retaining some
it. That's
fucking information.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Oh, I've also retained, it's not in this, an electric chair drop. Just
Remember
electric
you said
chair. That? Is it in this? Oh, it is. I won't have fucking written it down, I tell you.
Don't worry, you'll get the opportunity. Bell sounds, and Scott grabs a single leg and back elbows one of the executioners to the canvas. While Scott hits an impressive tilt-a-whirl side slam, we see Doink walking around the crowd on the hard camera side of the arena.
This pissed me off, but
of course
it's fine.
For anyone wondering, what a manoeuvre is Vince's way of saying, I have no idea what that is called.
Which really, I've said this before, and I don't know if I've said it on this or I've said it to you in person.
You said it to me at work.
Really hinders me, because I'm so used to now watching the shows where people actually tell you what the moves are called. Now I'm left with 3 people, none of which tell me what is going on, so I have to make them up if I don't know what they are. And
that, everyone, is a recipe for wonderful content.
That's how we got the name of this fucking podcast.
That is how we got the podcast, you're right. So long may it continue. Snapmare in the corner, I will call it what it's called, so at least you'll know as we're going through. Snapmare in the corner, and Rick is tagged in as the camera once again focuses on Doink, or as Rob calls him, Dork, who is blowing a party whistle.
It was noted.
Because I saw a whistle go, I was like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Man with a whistle.
We know I don't like a fucking whistle.
Big right hand sends an executioner flipping over. The masked man looks to get some momentum, but has his whip attempt reversed and goes face first into the middle rope. I assume that was a botch, as Rick whips him off the ropes properly right after and levels him with a Steiner line.
Yes, I have put a note here saying I'm pretty sure it wasn't meant to look like that. He's just caught his own feet or something like that.
Basically, I think he mistimed his run and just looked like cat shit, basically. With the executioner over his shoulder, he runs him gut first into the buckles, which was nice.
That's nice.
On the floor, and Scott hits Holly's favourite titled move, the double noggin knocker.
Bloody love it.
Back in the ring, that's got to be a shirt. Back in the ring, and Rick catches the executioner mid-air off a leapfrog attempt and turns it into a fantastic power slam.
Very good.
Scott tagged in and clutched the executioner before tossing him overhead with a belly-to-belly release, and I'm hard. Honestly,
it's nice though.
I fucking love a suplex. Steiner throws the executioner, especially when it's done by someone with my name. I mean, come on. Steiner throws the executioner into his corner where he makes the tag, but his partner fares no better as he gets immediately kicked upon entry. Kicks upon entry sounds like a dirty title for like a Korn album or something, doesn't it? Double arm suplex, and we see the second executioner raised into the... What is this position called, Holly?
Oh, it's the electric chair.
Fucking hell, she nearly forgot it. Yes.
This is why I have problems.
I literally put, what is this position called, Holly? I was like, surely, but you've nailed it.
Thank you.
Rick climbs the ropes and hits the double team bulldog for Scott to make the cover, and we get the 1, 2, 3 Steiners win.
Nice.
Short, sweet, what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Very good. I enjoyed it. I rated it really highly purely because there's no reason not to for me.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's 3.5.
Fuck off. No, that's outrageous.
No, but I feel like because we're not going to get more than a 5-minute match here, so... But I didn't want to put it as a 0 point something. That's the only reason why.
Okay.
It's
no, fine.
Purely because they're so short. I had to...
But the other one was short.
Yeah, but it was shit.
But it was better than this.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't better than this. It was.
No,
it wasn't. But it wasn't much better.
No, I'm not saying... If I compared this on a list of all the other matches I've given 3.5s, this would be fucking bottom of the barrel.
Okay, but you're doing it in the context of the show.
Of the show.
Right, okay,
yes.
So I think we've touched upon something here.
Yes.
I still thought you were doing it on the basis of everything.
These shows I think have to be...
Fine.
Because I can't compare a 3.5 here to a 3.5 WrestleMania match.
You fucking can't, I'll tell you that.
Well, no, exactly.
No,
so
that's fine.
for me, these have to be totally different.
Okay, as long as I've got that in my head, so
Yeah.
I don't...
If you sat here now and said to me, right, next week, list all your matches in order, regardless of where they are of your matches, then no, this would not be a 3.5.
Right.
It would be very much so at the bottom.
Okay, so I would have said 1.25 is probably a fair one on this. I'm probably knocking it down from 1.5 because the executioner fell and hit the ropes.
Well, yes.
Sean Mooney back outside the front of the arena.
Great.
Sean informs us that a lady has been detained by security for trying to enter the building. You laughed, I'm taking that. The lady is gesticulating wildly and swinging her bag around. The lady claims that her nephew, Rob Bartlett, is at the show and she wants to go see him. Sean Mooney says he is sure this matter can be resolved, but then removes the lady's wig. The lady is Bobby Heenan, who immediately changes his voice back, saying he has to get into the show. We see on our screen a graphic informing us that Razor Ramon is up next.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Heenan! Sean Mooney lives in my head rent-free, just saying Bobby Heenan like that. Right, Holly, talk me through everything that went through your head for this.
Stupid. Sorry, I know.
But why do you like stupid like Johnny Knoxville?
I don't know.
In a mat. Like,
but we talked about this on... What day of the week is it? Thursday? Monday? Wednesday? I don't know.
Happy days.
We talked about it. And I did say that towards the end, I did find it amusing. Mildly amusing.
I'm taking it.
But here, for me,
Bobby Heenan in drag.
It gives me PTSD from seeing that guy who was one of the first...
You're talking about me at my stag do? That was your making.
No, that was funny. Who was one of the first WrestleManias we watched when there was a guy dressed as a woman?
Adrian Adonis.
Yeah, it's very much that vibe. And also, no, not for me. Not for me.
And yet she likes
Sorry.
Rob Bartlett and Randy Savage on commentary.
Oh, I love Randy Savage.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
It gets better for me, but not right this second.
Okay. Vince McMahon is in the ring with Razor Ramon.
Yes. Isn't he from Maryland?
Yeah, he's American.
Okay. Is this his real accent?
Oh, sweet Holly.
It's not, is it?
No.
I didn't think it was. I was so confused. I've not heard the guy talk for a long, long time, let's be clear.
There you go.
That's all I've ever heard him say.
Yeah.
He ain't got much of an accent when he says that.
No, he just his very normal American voice.
Yeah.
Like,
but then he actually proper talked, and I literally, if you'd have seen my face watching this, I was like, huh?
So the way the Razor Ramon character was conceived, basically, was in WCW at the time. He was part of Diamond Dallas Page's stable, the Diamond Mine, I believe they were called. His name as a character was the Diamond Stud.
Mm.
And for ages growing up, I wonder like how you'll take this actually. He used to just have kind of like a Jerry curl type haircut and a tash. He had a tash all the way through, like from the age he could have a tash up until his mid to late 20s, just a thick Burt Selleck like moustache. And when he became the Diamond Stud, DDP basically said, we need to change your look, we need to find something that's cool, that's befitting. Because by all accounts, backstage, Scott Hall's a cool guy. Mm-hmm. He's like naturally cool. And basically what DDP saw is he was flicking through the TV and saw George Michael.
Okay.
And went, oh, okay.
I'm
so
assuming
the stubble,
like Faith era type thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they saw the stubble, the leather jacket. So that's the era, or the kind of the ideology that the Diamond Stud, Scott Hall, then started to adopt. So he shaved the tash, which he really didn't want to do. Yeah. Got the stubble, and then already started kind of curling his hair a little bit. Basically, on the proviso that it was like stealing the George Michael look. Okay. When he then applied to go to the WWF, he basically pitched the idea. He did an impression for Vince of Tony Soprano. Yeah, but it's not Tony Soprano. Mm-hmm. It's fucking Scarface is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Say
hello to my little friend.
Exactly. So he did an impression of that.
Which he says in this, doesn't he?
Vince loves it. And then he goes, right, we're going to go the full kit and
full
caboodle
ham.
with
Okay.
this. Look, and the person apparently that came up with the name for Razor Ramon was Tito Santana.
Really?
Yeah, he was still on the company books at the time.
Yeah.
And when they were they're still germinating this idea around, I think Razor caught him on the way to the bathroom or something and said, hey Tito, what's a good... Because he liked, I think it was Razor. He really liked the Razor idea. And he said, have you got a good Mexican surname that would go for it? And Santana just said, what about Ramon? And that was it.
Fair.
And that's how
Very
the name
good.
came into the ethos.
Okay.
So yes, that is how the Razor Ramon
Okay.
character was formed. There was a big push behind him. They did lots of vignettes before he ever debuted. They were going, the full mile with this character. And he started off like a main event player, pretty much. But then he never really got back to those levels again in WWF.
Yeah.
So Vince says that Vince says that the Royal Rumble is the golden opportunity that Razor has been waiting for, a shot at the WWF title. Razor says he was born ready, and when he says golden opportunity, that has got Razor Ramon written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Vince says it took Bret 8 years to climb through the rankings to get to the position he's in now, and says that Razor is a bit of a Johnny-come-lately, pardon the expression. Razor refers to Bret as the main mang.
Is this does that count as an impression?
No, because I'm just saying it, the main mang. There you go. That's about as good as that's going to get. I'll work on it. And that in the 8.5 months, he caught up to Bret, who, as Vince said, took 8 years to get where he is now.
Mm-hmm.
Vince asked Razor, if he is as great as he says, why did he do what he did to Owen Hart?
Mm-hmm.
As Razor is talking, we see a clip of Owen being interviewed in the locker room. Do you recognise by who?
Oh God, I wasn't.
Ray
watching.
Rougeau.
Oh, I wasn't. I'll be
Tash,
honest, I
by
wasn't
the way.
watching. Yeah, Tashman. Yeah.
We see Razor basically clothesline him off the back of a chair before hitting him
Yeah.
with a trash can. Razor says it was fun beating up Owen like a cockroach, and that Bret can't do anything about it. He wanted to, but couldn't, and he'd mang, because he can't say man, it's mang every time. Won't be able to do anything about Razor taking the WWF title at the Royal Rumble. Razor throws his toothpick at Vince
Love that.
before leaving, and the look on Vince's face is great.
He plays a heel so damn well for me.
And yet, my favourite stuff he did in WWF was when he was good.
Okay.
He's still known as the bad guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what match he's in at WrestleMania, the next show we're watching?
No.
He's a good guy in it as well.
Oh, really? So I only get him as a bad guy for this one.
Well, no, because
Well,
we
he
will
flips
see.
between. I'm sure.
I'm sure he flicks many things, but
But-
we will see other
Okay.
shows where he's a bad guy. Don't
But
worry.
yeah, there is something about his demeanour.
He exudes cool.
Doesn't he just?
Yeah.
He does say something that did confuse me. And it's, do you know what else you can't do nothing about?
Do you know what
And I was
else
like-
you can't do nothing
I was
about?
like, there's so many negatives in here, I'm so confused. But I just
Mine.
don't care. Again, I could just turn it on mute and just look at him.
Vince McMahon, man.
And then Randy pipes up and goes, that Razor's talking rubbish. And I thought, well, Randy, as much as I love you, this is ironic.
Well, yeah, isn't it just fucking hell? So, okay. Savage does a sell of an upcoming show, and we see the Headlock on Hunger, which was the WWF-led Somalia Relief Fund that was created to try and get some good publicity for the Federation when there was a lot of scrutiny about steroids. Good deflection.
I see.
Rob Bartlett interjects and says, we're about to hear from Tatanka, but it starts playing before he even finishes the thought.
Yeah.
Tatanka basically shields the relief fund before doing a war cry. No, I'm not going to do that. You're fine.
Yeah.
I can't do that. How he
It's
does it is really...
outstanding.
I debated it then. Caught
Yeah, you
myself.
did.
You're fine. Into another match.
Yeah, okay.
Max Moon versus Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title.
Oh, my first note says, who in here's name is this?
What?
I don't know.
Who in here's name?
I don't know. There's probably me trying to say
Hell.
who the fuck is this, but or who the hell is this? And my phone going, no, let's be PG.
Was he going for a fuck under?
No, there's no fuck on.
No double doink from behind?
Not yet. No. I'm hoping for a double takedown later, but no.
No. So Holly, Max Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. Rob Bartlett says that New York is the only place where a guy can dress like that and not get a second look on the subway. Probably true. As well, Brighton probably get away with it as well.
I'd
over
say
here.
easier in Brighton than New York, but
To be fair, Rob Bartlett probably has very little passing knowledge of Brighton in the UK.
Of course, yes. Fair point.
As Max comes to the ring, he has fire coming out of his right sleeve and streamers shooting out of his left.
Yeah, he's like a Spider-Man.
What a bag of dicks this gimmick is.
Wasn't he meant to be some form of like, I don't know the word, so this is pointless me saying anything.
I'm going to let you carry on.
Not like I want to say spaceman.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad you said that. The Max Moon character was the brainchild of Mexican wrestling legend Conan. You haven't seen him in a show yet, we will, don't worry. While wrestling in Japan, Conan was inspired by a cartoon robot he saw whilst watching anime. This led him to create the Max Moon character, a spaceman from outer space, with an eye-catching bodysuit and impressive special effects charged entrance. Or what we saw. The character was originally called the Comic Kid. However, due to backstage controversy, Conan was replaced by Tom Boric, also known as Paul Diamond.
Okay. Should I know who that is?
No.
Okay.
No one does.
I just checking.
Well, you saw him though, that's about it.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels comes out with the Intercontinental title and his original Sexy Boy theme, as sung by Sherry, as they hadn't yet switched over the vocals.
And this point is where my brain went, what the fuck? And then I went, come on.
Because we're not watching
Come
it
on,
chronologically.
we're watching it in reverse here, come on.
Great gear on Michaels, but the mullet is as offensive as I've ever seen it right here. They lock up and we get a quick arm drag from the champion, who looks very proud of himself indeed. Shawn goes for a hammerlock and they transition to Max Moon hitting a drop down, but Shawn stops dead before his leapfrog attempt, and Moon catches a kick attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Michaels flips out of an atomic drop and holds onto the ropes to counter an O'Connor roll. Japanese arm drag by Moon, aka what a manoeuvre, and he follows this up with a hip toss.
Oh, I always forget that that's what that is.
What?
Hip toss.
Okay. Body slap, what are you calling it?
It's best we don't know.
No, it really...
No, it's not entertaining.
I just want to know, but I don't care if
It's
it's...
just a flip over.
How is that not entertaining? It gives him a flip over.
I always forget it. And usually what happens is people on commentary do a good job and say, hip toss. These fuckers don't say nothing.
Just put what a manoeuvre.
I'm going to put it for everything. Everything. And then I won't be able to follow along because I won't know where my notes are. At least when I write gibberish and you say the real name, my brain goes, that's what that is. Yeah, let's carry on.
I just thought you were writing a Randy Savage promo, to be honest.
I tell you what, I fucking could with my notes sometimes. You're lucky I've been sober doing this.
Well, thank you. Body slam by Max, and Shawn takes a breather in the corner as the commentary team shoehorn their slogan one more time. After another running exchange, Moon drops the champ with a whirly-bird arm drag. I didn't know what to call that, so that's what I went with.
Whirly-bird arm drag.
That he transitions into a hammerlock from. Do you know the bit I'm talking about?
I do, though. I like it.
Yeah, whirly-bird. There's not a lot of them that I've seen in pro wrestling, so I don't know how frequent I'll need to use that. Max shifts position, only put shits, shifts position into a pin, but Shawn kicks out and we go to a break.
Yes, and I didn't think we would actually... We obviously don't see like a full ad break, but I didn't think the footage would effectively stop and then we'd come back and go, oh, it did carry on. Like,
it does that.
I know it does that. I've seen it like on American telly, shall we say. Like I understand it, but just weirdly, because it was so old, I just didn't think that's what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, but even now on Raw and SmackDown,
Yeah.
if you watch the stuff on the network, they still do that now. I always got really frustrated when they just stop during a match, because as the fan at home, I'm like, I want to see. I don't get rid of someone's promo time, which I appreciate there's a reason they don't do that, but I just hated it. I still don't like it now. But to be fair, I'm writing less about the match, so
yeah, fair.
Take it as a win. Back to the action now after the break, and Shawn whips Moon into the buckles but misses with a splash attempt. Arm wringer by Max, but Shawn counters out with a stiff right, and Rob tells us that during the break, Michaels pulled a knife. That had me in hysterics.
Really?
Yeah, just... Because you can't say that.
It was a bit
I'm just going to tell you guys at the break, Shawn Michaels pulled out a knife and Vince goes, can't do that. Vince is panicked by this comment and Rob apologises and they transition to bashing us over the head with a fucking slogan once more. Moon goes up and over in the corner, but is caught by Sean before being dropped face first onto the buckles, aka, what a manoeuvre! Michaels with a drop kick off a whip, and we once more cut to Doink, who is now in the aisleway.
This pissed me off again.
You don't like Doink?
No, I don't. We've already missed some of the match because we've gone to a fucking ad break. Now the match carries on and we're focused on some fucking clown. Sorry, I'm almost as angry
Holly.
about this as I am about the fucking whistle.
Holly, on every wrestling show we've ever seen, he is far from the only clown we have witnessed.
I know, but this is so stupid.
He's a literal clown, that's
so
the issue.
Stupid.
I've lost...
Because,
oh gosh, she's going again.
Sorry,
She's going.
because the footage goes away to the clown. We come back and Moon is literally lying on the floor. Well, we've got no clue what's happened.
Back in the ring, and we see Michaels fixing his scouring brush hair as Rob Bartlett drifts into an absolutely shite Mike Tyson impression. Holly... Do you know that want to do a Mike Tyson impression right now? We won't.
No. Do you need to practice that one?
There was one clip I saw of him years ago, and we're talking like when he's 18, being interviewed for a boxing show, obviously. And he goes, "Hi, my name's Mike Tyson. You may have heard of me in my short career." And that's basically how he talks. And that wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but what Rob's doing here...
Not the one.
No, not for me. But to be fair, as good as most of mine, so fine. Holly doesn't know what to do with herself at this point because someone on commentary is doing an impression of someone who has nothing to do with wrestling. Doink is fucking around the crowd. Shawn Michaels is checking his hair out. Max Moon's lying on the floor for inexplicable reasons.
Honestly.
Oh, I know.
Livid.
Max counters a knee to the gut with a schoolboy pin attempt that gets a 2 count. Shawn takes a couple of precise shots at Max before whipping him hard into the corner. You're laughing at your notes again.
I'm just so angry. I
Okay.
didn't realise I was this angry, but even my notes... I've got 3 of them that say, once again, I've got no fucking clue what's going on because all we're doing is looking at a clown.
Yeah, and Doink had left at that point. Shawn says to the camera, "This face has broken so many homes," as he points at himself, and later it would go on to break a number of promising careers as well.
So many homes?
Yeah, he's broken up a happy household.
Oh, I thought he said hearts.
I thought he said homes because I was expecting him to say hearts,
Yeah.
main, but
I've probably heard it but not heard it, if you know what I mean.
because I was expecting
Yeah.
hearts, and then I went, "Oh, he said
Either way
homes,"
makes
because I
sense.
thought, why
Yeah.
would he say? Oh, I guess
Break up
okay.
a happy home.
There you go. Why did you wink when you said that?
Oh my God.
Mounted rights by Shawn, who is lulled into a small package pin
Me.
that gets a near full. Michaels claws at Moon's face before connecting with a back elbow off the ropes for 2. Reverse chin lock by the champ, and I can confirm that the Mike Tyson impression is still ongoing for anybody that's listening. Moon gets back to his feet and elbows free and avoids a dropkick attempt from Michaels, aka, what a manoeuvre! Moon catapults. The one thing we didn't get from Vince in this show is that, and this
Any
was
wrestling
something
moves?
with that as well. No, he did know what a reverse chin lock was because he tells Rob Bartlett later. But there was a trope that Vince would always go into, and I think I might have mentioned this to you outside of the recording, where if someone was being pinned, it could be over anything, any innocuous move, and you go, 1, 2, 3, he's got him, yes, he got. Oh no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Oh yes, we have talked.
He
about
does
this.
that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I like it if it's done rarely, not at the repetition and rapidity in which Vince tends to use it. Moon gets back to his feet and elbows free and drop. Yep, what a manoeuvre. Moon catapults Michaels over the top rope to the floor and then follows up with a flying sausage onto the floor, aka what a high risk manoeuvre.
That to me looked very high on Michaels' head, effectively.
Michaels pretty sure gave Max Moon a back alley circumcision there with his teeth.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. Back in the ring and Shawn is beginning...
Oh,
I don't know, I put here, back in the ring and Shawn is beginning to tee off, but Moon hits a few strikes before whipping the champ into the buckles and following in with a leg lariat.
I'm impressed you can read these notes where you've maybe got a word or two not in the right word and still work out what it means, because I read mine and go, what the fuck does that mean?
I'll be honest, Holly, I'm guessing that's what I put there.
Oh.
I'm not convinced. But if we're
Okay.
shining a light on it, I'll hold my hands up.
I'm impressed though.
If you say it with enough confidence, people will believe
Yeah, I
you.
don't
Not
have doubt.
people on the internet, but a lot of people will believe
not
you.
good at that.
Well, okay, here's a story. This is completely out of left
okay.
field from wrestling, but I'm just going to... You know the story because you were there. So at work, basically, we've mentioned the working relationship that Holly and I have. Holly is part of my team, and
You're my boss.
Indeed. And every day I do a team call in the morning and the afternoon. And one day there were a few of us in the office, and it was Holly's idea that I should try and get as many song titles as I could without the team realising what I was doing.
It was so good, and I ruined it.
And I was given Spice Girls to shoehorn their songs into the call. So I thought I was feeling a bit fruity, a bit funky, and thought, yeah, I'll give it a go, see what I can do. Mm-hmm. And Holly said, "You don't need to worry about me, Scott. I have got this. My poker face is like granite. They call me Lady Gaga." Okay.
FYI, it didn't say that. I just said I had a good poker face.
That part is true, but it was when you read between the lines.
I definitely was confident in my actions here.
Within 4 seconds, and I'm not joking.
Crying.
Within 4 seconds, Holly was crying with laughter after I dropped the first one in there.
Actual streaming tears down my face.
I think it was when Graham
was... It was Graham, it was 2 become 1.
Yeah, because he said, 2 cases were going to drop. I said, well, can 2 become 1?
I was done.
And Holly was done.
I was crying.
And
I had to leave the room.
You did. And Sam, who was also part of this, just looked at Holly and shook his head, and he, the whole time, stony-faced.
He was.
He did the part well.
I have an awful poker face.
So if anyone wants to get some free money, play Holly at poker. Senton Samoan Drop, which is the rolling thing that Finlay and Sheamus then did. I don't know what that's called. I don't think it's not what I've called it, but rolling Senton Drop is what I'm calling it. Senton Samoan. I'm going to put my teeth back in and try that one again. Senton Samoan Drop gets a close 2 for the challenger. Body slam connects, but the rolling senton that he attempts does not, allowing Michaels to hit as they call it at the time, a savate kick.
When does it become Sweet Chin Music?
When it becomes his finisher.
Oh.
First teardrop suplex attempt is avoided, but the second one is not, and we get the 1, 2, 3. Shawn Michaels retains the gold. That was his finisher.
Yep.
What do you think of the match?
Bear in mind, we're just doing it based on this.
If you say 4...
Oh no, it's 3.
Okay.
3, so less than the Steiners. Again, you know what? I didn't hate this. There was more content in it. Wasn't too long, was fine. There are things in it that annoyed me, but it wasn't anything to do with the people wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I felt bad downmarking them for a fucking clown. The actual clown.
Yes, I appreciate that. I would say 2.5, 2.75 at a push. Because it was the best match on the card, I thought, because of the length, the way it had a bit of back and forth in it. The Steiners was a squash match, so unless it's a ridiculously glorious squash match, it's only ever going to hit a certain limit for me. Okay. But this one, I'm not entirely opposed to where you landed on it. But funnily enough, because all the other matches were so short, at one point I was like, fuck me, this is still going on.
It felt long, didn't it? Because really all the others are like 5 minutes.
Really did. And from there we get a wonderful American commercial.
Yes.
WWF Mania commercial, if I'm being specific. We see a wonderfully nostalgic 90s advert for WWF Mania as parents are looking to sleep in on a Saturday, only to be woken up by their young children bouncing up and down on their bed. When they do gather around and watch action, the dad is so overwhelmed by it all that he falls backward off his chair onto the kitchen floor. The 90s, everyone. The 90s. 100%. Did it make you feel a certain way?
Nostalgic,
yeah,
absolutely. But also, this is not. It doesn't remind me of stuff because this was not my childhood types get up either. But
I just wanted to get a bowl of cereal and sit down and watch some cartoons or something.
It was very based at kids for sure.
Very much so. And from there we transition to the Royal Rumble report, and I don't mind telling you, Holly, Gene Okerlund is the one that's hosting this.
Yes.
Mean Gene introduces us to the Rumble report, which is also sponsored by Oko. Sponsored by Oko. What is it with this word?
You can do it.
I believe myself. Let me just stretch my neck out a little bit. Okay, go. Rumble report, which is also sponsored by Ico Pro. I will leave that story for another show, Holly, and I'm glad I fucking did because I don't want to have to say that again. No. Ico Pro. It's so easy, but for some reason that was fucking me. There's an interesting background story behind that, but this isn't the episode. I gave you enough background on other bits here. Gene confirms that Shawn Michaels will be defending the Intercontinental title against former tag team partner Marty Jannetty, and that Sherry will be at ringside in some capacity. Shawn informs us that nobody deserves a title shot less than Marty, but because he's Mr. Cool, he'll grant him one anyway. Turns out, if you're actually cool, you don't have to tell people you are. You just are. Sean also confirms that just like any woman, Sherry will be in his corner. Not with that mullet, son.
Well, she's got one of her own.
So does Janetti, in fairness. Marty tells us that Royal Rumble will be called Marty Janetti Day, as on this day he will get everything he wants. He can't choose the level of his voice that he wants.
No.
He goes, Marty Janetti Day, because I'm going to get everything I want! Settle down, smackhead. Like, it's ridiculous. No, come on. He was off his nut on cocaine. He said he's going to win the IC title and end the career of Shawn Michaels all in one go. Marty also goes on to say that maybe Shawn doesn't know Sherry as well as he thinks he does. That's beta cuck shit right there. It's not strong man. I'm not rooting for you.
No.
I can't get behind you like this. Sort yourself out, Marty. Just in life, actually, in general. Like, you do some worrying stuff that I see that makes it into the news realms, and it alarm bells is all I'm saying. From there, I wasn't expecting to go on that one, to be honest, that diatribe. Gene proceeds to tell us the Royal Rumble rules and the entrance, which I'll not list here because fuck that.
I started to, and then I was like, no, let's be bored and stop.
Let's be
bored and stop.
Brilliant. Gene proceeds to tell us the Royal Rumble... No, read that. I literally read that. Mr. Perfect tells us that he's looking forward to the opportunity. So basically, periodically through him listing names, one of the participants has a little promo. Although,
Mr. Perfect here looked like a blonde, goatee, which really confused me, because I couldn't work out if he did or if it was just a light shining on his face.
Well, he also had a lot of water and oil and grease.
Oh, he was wet.
He was, yes. And
moist.
Did he whet the appetite for the Royal Rumble? I don't know. No, he didn't.
Okay.
Mr. Perfect tells us that he's looking forward to the opportunity of the Royal Rumble, and several times says he is perfect and nobody else is perfect. I like Mr. Perfect, but boy, some of your promos are tough.
Just how many times can you say the word perfect?
Yeah. Mr. Fuji. Now this man is great. Nobody removes my Yokozuna.
Okay.
Is what he said there.
I'm sure no one can.
Yokes then starts, yes! Yes! At the camera, and then hits his hand. Friend of the show, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, says the Royal Rumble is his kind of match, where anything moves and you nail it. Sounds like a Hugh Hefner party to me, that.
He has been eating his eggs. He
Protein.
is yoked.
Hey! See what you did there?
Yeah. But he looks amazing. His traps here are ridiculous.
And I tell you what, Holly, he's not going to guarantee us that he's going to win it, but he will guarantee that he will give 110%. Tough guy.
That's all we want. Good. That is a good. I wish people could see what you just did.
No one needs to see that. It's fine.
Well, I got to see it.
Also, are we not giving my Hugh Hefner joke any?
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay,
I was smiling. I
just
didn't smile with sound.
I didn't smile with sound. Yeah, no, okay, that checks out. Gene tells us that for the first time, the winner of the Royal Rumble will face the WWF champion at WrestleMania. So yeah, that might have been news to you. It wasn't the Royal Rumble winner that always got the WrestleMania shot. This was the first iteration. They kept it from here. But
pre this.
5, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. So the 5 that came before it. Granted, in 92, the winner became the champion. All the others, no.
Okay.
To the point where I think WWF champions were in it.
What, in the Rumble?
Yes, I know.
Makes no sense.
I get annoyed enough when I see Brock Lesnar lose a match and come out in the Rumble later on.
Yeah, you're not a fan of a repeat, are you? I've had a match earlier on in the day.
Oh, what number is Randy Orton going to come out? Fuck off. Like, we're honestly, Holly. Like, yeah, great. Give me someone else.
I get so annoyed.
Yeah.
It's
yes.
so funny.
Yes, I do.
Oh, I don't.
No. Oh, wonder why.
Nice pitch of voice.
Thanks. I'm not mad. I'm fine. I don't know why my voice is up here. I'm fine. Oh no, we've just covered that again. Our final shout out for Brett and Razor, who will be competing for the same WWF title on the pay-per-view. Sean Mooney's back outside again, Holly.
Of course he fucking is.
Mooney tells us that the fans are turning up to buy tickets for next week's show, when a portly gentleman in a hat and beard hustles by behind him. Sean collars the man as he wants to ask him a question. The Jewish gentleman says he has got to get inside to see his nephew Rob Bartlett, and says his name is Uncle Morty. As he adjusts himself, the man accidentally removes his beard, and wouldn't you bloody know it, Bobby the Brain Heenan is up to his old tricks again.
Shocking.
This is
This was.
great.
And you know what I wrote here? For God's sake, just let him in. There's only 10
Bobby
minutes.
Heenan?
There's only 10 minutes left. Just let him in. For God's sake.
You have to. I think you enjoyed this one.
This made me chuckle. This is when I start chuckling.
Good.
All before, no.
We get a brief sell of the upcoming shows, including a future Raw, and we see the same ring girl from earlier return as the commentators once more flub their marketing line, with which Vince actually goes, "No, we're doing this again," and they do. We then see a package
Yes.
from a previous show, so to speak. I don't know if you've
No
seen this man
grenades.
before. No grenades.
No. Oh, yes. As I know, I've seen him then, but I've not seen him performance-wise.
Yeah, that's fine. So for anyone who isn't in the room with us, which just rules
Oh,
out
yeah,
everyone
sorry.
but the two of us. No, I didn't say it either. I pointed to a Kamala figure on my shelf. And it's Kamala seeing the light.
This
apparently.
made me sad, this VT, though.
Honestly.
It drew on my heartstrings a lot more than
Okay,
it should have done.
I'm glad you said that, because I felt like an absolute bitch watching it. So we're shown footage of Kamala having won his match, being pushed and shoved by Kim Chi and Harvey Whippleman. Yes, his name's Kim Chi, because I saw your eyes go, what the fuck have you just
You
said?
eat that, though, right?
You do, not this
Okay.
one. I mean, you can eat him if you want. I mean, I'm sure
okay.
he'll be alright with it, but he might be dead, actually. Yeah, no, I think he's dead. But... yeah, and I don't like seeing
no, I just
someone
made me feel
who's
sad.
who's playing the part of someone who's mentally not there
Right.
being bullied. Doesn't sit well with me, and I get antsy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And
It's the first time I've ever been happy to see Slick.
amen. That pun not intended, actually, but yes, because he's Reverend Slick, isn't
Yeah.
he now? But Kamala, to give him credit, a good job. Because I believed that
Oh.
he was mentally
Absolutely
handicapped.
pulled on the strings.
Really did. So to give the big man credit, he plays the simpleton role well as he looks sad and confused by the assault because they're just beating him up. He's kind of like not understanding. If you've ever seen the film, this is such a bold claim to even put this in the same
You're going to
sentence.
say what I think you're going to say.
I am Sam. Have you ever
Oh,
seen?
no.
Have you seen
I
that
know
there?
what it is, though.
It's
Yeah.
when his daughter's shouting at him and he just can't understand why he's being shouted at. And I remember that made me cry. This didn't make me cry.
No.
But it was kind of, if I was a kid, I could imagine this would make me cry. Or at least be very sad for him. Reverend Slick runs down and gets a cheer, which is great, and tells Kim Chi and Whippleman this is over before Kim Chi twats him upside the head.
Yes.
Kamala starts hitting his belly, and that's when he loses me, and chops Kim Chi out of the ring before chasing Harvey Whippleman back up the aisle. That's it. Kamala, I think, actually died a few years ago, so he had his role in wrestling was quite interesting because he was built up to be really fearsome at first. In the WWF, it was the cartoon version of Kamala we got,
Right.
but he was like supposed to be a cannibal, a killer, like a real monster back in the day
Okay.
in the Southern Territory specifically. I think he did work in, I want to say, World Class.
Right.
Definitely, it was definitely the Southern states. He did work, Georgia maybe as well. And as you might recall, you might not, I referenced that he body slammed Andre the Giant at one point as well.
I do.
He was also a long distance lorry driver, which was his side hustle. He was a truck driver. And at one point when he was in WCW, he was paid so poorly. I think he just had a match. He was part of the Dungeon of Doom stable, which I won't go into
Yeah.
the details of that in WCW, that were going against Hulk Hogan. And it's basically people that Hogan has gone up against at some point in his career, wanted to bring in, because that he knew that's what drew the money. He did a match with Hogan, which was on, I think it was a Prime television show. I don't think it was a pay-per-view event. And his takeaway for the night, I think, was about $500. And he's thinking, well, no, I was in the main event. I should be getting whatever, 15 grand, whatever the amount should have been. But he was basically a pay-as-you-play and told that each time he appeared, it would be that, with a view to getting a long-term contract at the end of the day. That never came. Kamala went, fuck this, I'm out, and went back to lorry driving, basically. He also did independent shows and stuff thereafter, but never. That was pretty much the end of his top-tier wrestling career. And when I say top-tier, it sounds like I'm being generous, but he was a renowned name in wrestling. He had diabetes. I think I might have already mentioned that. He lost his foot through diabetes at one point, and eventually I think that was what ultimately saw him off, so he died a few years ago now. But yeah, that's the story of Kamala for you. So already pulling at your heartstrings, I thought I'd tug him a little bit harder for you. Oh God, use better wording, Scott. Damien Demento
Yes.
versus Undertaker with Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
So, well, no, actually, in the ring we have Jesse Ventura from Beach Blast 92. Oh no, sorry, that's Damien Demento here.
Leave him alone.
Same hair.
Yes, and what's his name? Rob
Bartlett.
makes a comment about his hair, doesn't it? Saying it looked like it got cut in a power surge, and all I could think of was, oh, Jesse.
Rob Bartlett correctly says that it looks like Damien got his hair cut in a power surge, and he isn't wrong. Rob then asks Vince who the guy with the martini shaker is, and it takes me a moment to realise he's referring to Paul Bearer and the urn.
I've got that.
Not
I
bad.
love that. Oh,
Not
it just
bad.
made me smile.
The match starts, and as Taker walks Demento down, Damien is talking to, I assume, the voices in his head, the ones that Randy Orton has probably, until he uncorks a right hand on the dead man. A flurry of rights has Taker reeling, but the dead man counters a duck off a whip and slams Demento face first into the canvas. Into the buckle, Damien goes face first, and we see Old School follow in very slow order.
I was going to say, I've put a note here saying, I don't think you'll like this one because it's a bit too slow moving.
Shaking
Oh, so I was moving my top, sorry.
Yes, moving the top.
Sorry.
Look
It
at
looks
that.
like I was shaking
See,
my tits around. Sorry.
basically, a little bit.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But the reason why I didn't hate it as much as I thought I might is because Demento is basically playing someone who's insane, so I could quite imagine he would stand there just waiting for it. Back into the buckles goes Demento, and Taker proceeds to choke him before whipping him into the opposite corner. Demento gets a boot up on a corner charge and hits a second rope double axe handle that it appeared Taker went to block but didn't quite. A running shoulder tackle by Demento takes the big man off his feet, but Taker ducks a clothesline attempt and hits what I presume was meant to be a flying clothesline that more accurately looked like a flying headbutt due to the positioning issues. Taker signals out to the urn and hits the tombstone on Demento for the 1-2-3. The bit where he kind of headbutts him and then immediately goes to the urn thing, I thought that was shit. Let's distract from the mess that just happened.
That's what I thought too, but...
Best call of the night by Rob. Somebody get the body bag.
Okay.
Really good call. Like that. Probably the best call of the night, as I put right after it. What do you think of the match?
Okay. It surprised me that... Well, I don't know if it surprised me, actually. I think it's because I think of... No, I don't know why. There's no logic behind what I'm thinking. But obviously the Shawn Michaels match was the longest match of the night.
Considerably.
But it surprised me that that match then wasn't last. To me, like, if you're...
No, I agree with it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it, I'll be honest. But it was a bit kind of like, for me, it was like that match is here on my scale. And then we're ending on a bit of a meh for me.
I think you run the danger of the main event. I could see so I can kind of get on board with it, but it wouldn't necessarily work because if you're seeing bang, 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 bang matches and then a longer one, like I had earlier, you're kind of like, fucking hell, this is going on a bit. So it might detract away from it. So I understand why they did it the way they did.
I think it's the content for me that I didn't really get. Like, I went away from this just being like, cool, it's finished. Like, no real like, eh.
So what are you grading it?
2.
2? Okay, that's better than I would.
Again, this is just as this has ending closed. Considering I gave 3.5 to, do you know what I mean? It's
a half star at best for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it was fine. Like I say, it was fine. That makes it sound like it was shit, but
there's nothing to talk about really.
Not really. Well, apart from what we did talk about.
No, but do you know what I mean? There's nothing of notable.
No, you're not wrong.
Excellent.
So based on the match races, you think I thought this card was shit, but because everything's so bang, 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 quick and short,
it was fine.
You can't, as a whole package, you kind of go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was very much a product of its era.
What follows is the worst part of the whole fucking show.
Before the show goes off the air, Vince says that next week we'll see Woody Allen and Mia Farrow square off in a cage match. You look confused. This is an incredibly weird thing to reference, and if you're unsure, Holly, I have some of the details for you.
Go for it.
In August 1992, American filmmaker and actor Woody Allen was alleged by his adoptive daughter, Dylan Farrow, then aged 7, to have sexually molested her in the home of her adoptive mother, actress Mia Farrow, in Bridgewater, Connecticut. Allen has repeatedly denied the allegation. When the allegation was made, Allen and Mia Farrow had been in a 12-year relationship and had 3 children together, 2 adopted, Dylan and Moses, and 1 biological, Satchel, now known as Ronan Farrow. The sexual abuse is alleged to have taken place 8 months after Farrow learned that Allen had a sexual relationship with another of her adoptive daughters, Soon-Yi Previn, who married Allen in 1997.
Wow.
Previn was a first-year undergraduate and 21 years old when Farrow eventually found out about the relationship. Allen alleged that the relationship prompted Farrow to concoct the molestation allegation as an act of vengeance. The Connecticut State's attorney investigated the allegation but did not press charges. The Connecticut State Police referred Dillon to the Child Sexual Abuse Clinic at Yale New Haven Hospital, which concluded that Allen had not sexually abused Dillon and the allegation was probably coached or influenced by Mia Farrow. The New York Department of Social Services found no credible evidence to support the allegation. In response to the allegation, Allen sued Farrow for sole custody of Dillon, Satchel and Moses. He lost the case in June 1993, though the judge agreed that the allegation of sexual abuse had not been proven.
Sweet Jesus.
And they referenced a cage match.
Yeah.
Obviously it's bollocks. There wasn't.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But
wow.
maybe stay away from that, especially
God.
you dirty prick, Vince.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Trying to fuck everything with 2 tits and a pulse.
Wow.
Or shitting on them all. We saw the texts.
Mm-hmm.
We saw those texts. But we're not done.
Oh,
And here I was thinking the show was over.
Yes.
Not quite. Vince says that Doink likes to make children cry, and Crush has warned him about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a naughty boy, Doink. Sorry, Dork, wasn't it?
Talk, yeah.
Doink's demeanour changes as he says if the children don't have a sense of humour, that's not his fault. As long as he laughs, that's all that matters.
This did annoy me, but then it also made sense with what we'd just seen, because at WrestleMania we see the VT of this, don't we?
It's not this particular part.
I understood where it was coming from.
It's
but
part of the storyline that goes into their Mania
Yeah.
9 match, yeah, for sure. As Doink continues to talk, Crush makes his way to the ring, and Vince asks who is laughing now. Not me.
Yeah, someone says something a bit sketchy in a minute. And
I don't know if I've got that, but I hope you like what I've done here, because I make an effort to make you laugh in this sometimes.
Yeah.
Crush says that before Doink puts his size 14 shoe in his size 20 mouth, he should look over both shoulders, bruh. If he sees Doink pulling any more of those tricks, bruh, on any people, bruh, he will put all of Doink's limbs into casts, bruh. Couldn't tell he was trying to be from Hawaii, could you? Bruh. Doink then squirts a water pistol at Crush, who begins to chase him around the ring.
Yeah.
We think that's it. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
The final shot we see is Bobby Heenan trying to get access to the venue, and finally it's confirmed by Sean Mooney that he can go up there. But obviously the show has already finished, and that, Holly, is the end of the very first episode of Raw. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. Do you know what? It was really hard to... That's why I had to do it completely separately in my head, because it's so hard to compare to anything else. So I don't want to, because it's not the same. Yet. Didn't hate it. I loved it. It was 45 minutes long. I think if we deleted all the shite from it and actually watched the wrestling, it would have been 7 minutes long. But it is what it is.
What? So you said it's like nothing we've ever done before. Obviously we've done an Attitude Era.
Yes.
But that was 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's got a bit more of a slower, methodical pacing.
I feel like with those, when they're longer, in my head I go, I'm going to get a little bit more content.
So you're kind of compartmentalising different show types,
yes,
and comparing it amongst
I'm
themselves.
Having to, I think,
No,
at this
fine.
rate. Like earlier when you said, oh, you've watched this generation of effectively like Raw and this and this, I'm going to have to do them separately, I think, because I can't compare like that to an episode of like Raw that we see 20 years down the line, I don't think.
I give certain additional credit to older stuff that I wouldn't in the modern product.
Yes.
To
they
a
didn't
point.
have the technology and everything and the skill set, maybe.
No, it's not even skill set. I think it's just a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Because they're certainly far more athletic now as a general
For
rule.
sure.
Don't not say they're not to take anything away from the people, but you can look at that. Let me retract a little bit there and say I'm using sport here as an example. Appreciating wrestling isn't a sport. Pro wrestling isn't a sport. You look at boxing or any combat sport, look at the earlier iterations and generations of fighters that came through, and then look at what you've got now.
Yeah.
It's a different animal. The
It's just
nutrition game,
all
the
evolved,
training,
isn't it? Yeah.
the learning, everything is so much more advanced. It's hard to compare directly with what came before it. So you say, oh, who would win a fight between Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali? Well, I don't know. They're two products of different eras.
Exactly.
You'd never know. You'd think, well, probably if it was actually based on skill set, Mike Tyson might kill him.
Yeah.
But there you go. So I kind of try and do the same a little bit with pro wrestling. So maybe something that, if it was in the modern era, I'd go, that's 0 stars, that's shit. I might give it half a star
Uh-huh.
back then, but I don't. You went so far
Yes.
with it on the Steiners one, but I do it to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of agreeing whilst not
Yes.
fully agreeing
Yeah.
with you.
Compartmentalising individual eras for me.
But I quite like the fact that what we're doing isn't just hitting the same note every time, because it mixes it up, it keeps it fresh. So we're not programming ourselves to expect and see the same
Exactly.
thing time and time again,
Yeah.
which I think helps certainly from my perspective, because of
Yes.
the extensive
Yeah.
note taking. Just in general, like I said,
Yeah.
it takes me about 3 times the length of the actual show to watch the show, and that's not
Mhm.
including getting all the additional bits and
Of
pieces
course.
together for it. But I'm glad that you didn't go, this was fucking shit.
No, I didn't hate it either. Like, I scored it out of 10,
Go for it.
but I gave it 4.5.
Yeah, I'd go 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I didn't watch it and go, that's fucking
but I
awful.
didn't hate it.
But to me, that's not a bad score, because 5 is a mid-card score.
Yeah, okay.
But for me, I'm scoring it a bit lower because there wasn't a lot of content in there for me. And
I
that's personally what I would like, a bit more content.
If there was 3 hours of that,
and a bit less dicking around. I'm still happy for it to be 45 minutes, but let's take out the clown focusing.
you're never gonna.
Let's take out Bobby Heenan. Sorry, I know. But do you know what I mean? Like, let's take out the VTs that are 5 minutes long.
Take out the Royal Rumble package.
Yes.
That was the one
Give
that
me
killed
another
me.
Give me another match in there. Like, that's what I would mark it down
Okay,
on.
fair enough.
So-
Because if you look at it, and if I came out of one of the other shows and said 4,
Mhm.
I think we've only scored one show lower than this.
Oh, I don't
And this
know.
isn't my second least favourite show that we've seen,
Yeah.
because the shortness has helped it.
Yes.
I'm never going to say it was a 7 or an 8, 'cause
But
that's
then
madness.
again, I don't think you can compare. Like, I know I've definitely put WrestleManias down there in that bracket, but I can't compare a 4 out of 10 WrestleMania to effectively a 4 out of 10
Yeah.
house show in quotation marks. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just,
okay.
So yeah,
No, that's fair
just
enough.
my opinion.
I quite enjoyed the discussion. Like I said, there's always points of intrigue
Mm-hmm.
and conversation starters from the television show, because you get more of the angles that you don't get necessarily in the
Yeah.
pay-per-views. So it also kind of dictates how I take my notes as well, because when I'm doing a pay-per-view, I can find that writing the notes for the matches, I get into a rhythm and it
Yes.
starts flowing better, whereas I kind of struggled going
I had
from
to
one thing
pause so much in this.
for a 45-minute show. Don't get me wrong, I still did it in 2 sittings, but that's just because I don't
Yeah.
want to
Oh yes,
blow my wad effectively. I thought it was fun. Like I said, I'd score around the 4
Yeah.
mark, but that isn't to say I didn't enjoy it at the
No.
same time. Guess that kind of brings us to the end of
Yeah.
the show. But Holly, before we
Yeah.
go off into the horizon,
Oh okay.
we need to do the socials.
Oh yeah. Gmail, wintwicepod@gmail.com. And then Instagram, YouTube, TikTok is wintwicepod. Some of the comments that are coming up on Instagram, that's a lie, YouTube at the minute, I'm there. I'm alright. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying them for now. It doesn't make me feel
Oh,
nervous.
they love you.
I'll take it.
Yeah, no, so you're getting the love. I'm getting more of the challenges, which is fine. But as a
It's
general rule,
interesting to
Yeah.
hear some people's opinions rather than them saying, "Oh, you're wrong." I
Yes.
find it more interesting for someone to say,
be constructive.
"Fair point. I actually think this."
Yeah,
Love that.
absolutely. I think it's when you immediately or initially start with name calling. I'm just like, why are we doing this,
Yeah,
guys?
no, not
But
about
for the
that
most
life.
part, the comments have been fantastic, and
Yeah.
thank you very much all for commenting. I would encourage it going forward, and
Yes.
I'm sure Holly would agree. Hopefully,
Mhm.
you guys are intrigued enough to make some show requests through the email.
Yeah.
Put your comments on. We're getting our editor Jamie, before we do every recording, is
Mhm.
posting basically a snippet of the show we're going to be covering, so you guys can put your thoughts there or send it via email. And like I said, I've done it in the past. I'll read them out
Yep.
at the end of the show to get your guys' feedback as well. But that's pretty much everything we needed to cover off on this one. Put a nice little bow on
Yeah.
it. The first ever episode of Raw.
And when this goes out, just know I will be sat at home with a Freddo in one hand, a glass of Prosecco in the other, rightly turning 36, as it goes out
Exactly.
on my birthday.
It does go out on your birthday, so I've
Yeah.
got to do some editing and get that sorted. But many happy returns to Holly. And then
Thank
next
you.
weekend, we're going to Progress.
Yes, we are. How exciting.
Yeah, very exciting indeed. But until then, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we'll tune in for the next one. Take care.
Bye.